Yes, it's a Rumble in the Jungle Scion style. We've got two very powerful players today, and they're bringing us a KVT, a matchup that has never failed me so far. And we will celebrate with the inaugural supply depot. We're playing on Sacred Isle. A very interesting map. Backdoor expansion, but a very short attack path to that natural. Love to see that map diversity. Keiron's got his 200 for that edifice. He's gonna put it down at the natural. He's blocking off. Whereas our Terran player is focusing on sort of blocking off his main there. Better get those intros. Our Terran player is a puppet known for his brutal insults on the Conan O'Brien show. He is Triumph! Our Keiron player in the lower left is what the Navis say when they decide you're not a total piece of crap. I see you! And now our stage is awkwardly set. Keiron is racking up the minerals to expand here. Looks like he's gonna expand forward and not use his back door, but we'll see here. Terran's Rax is gonna finish up. He's also queuing up minerals for that expansion. He's got his first gas and he's gunning. Oh, it's a quick Reaper. It's gonna be a Reaper expand. A popular, safe build. Early scouting puts some pressure on your opponent. It usually forces your opponent to make a bunch of units though. Sometimes that backfires if they come a-knocking before you're ready. Triumph has elected to be more defensive and expand at his back door. I like this for Terran though because until he expands again, the only way he can be attacked is through a rather narrow ramp. Keiron is teching up for a Sanctum. That builds charges for pulsars and subjectors. Reaper's out. Keiron's gonna need some units. Triumph's getting his factory behind this. Looks like a Zeidling crawling across the sand there. The Zayid making a little appearance. Though I believe the Zeidling's actually getting renamed. Lots of changes in the works for the Zayid, I understand, but this is not the time. Oh, there's a Reaper door, but it has been partially blocked by the Sanctum. The Volt checks the Reaper's door pass. He does not have one. Reaper's gonna detour to that wider entrance at the natural. That's a big space for him to slip through. Yu is not making more Volts. He's putting down a Foundry. Correction, he does have two. I'm curious as to what that Foundry's about. Are we gonna see some Umbrae? Perhaps he's looking to challenge whether Terran will take the precaution of detection. Reaper headed back to the back door. It's open, he slips in, he's gonna get that scout. Oh, he decides to rub it in by putting some graffiti on the Sanctum. Oh, the Keiron do not like that. Terran decides not to scout the main. With that tight ramp, if he goes in, it's probably a one-way trip. He decides not to throw away his Reaper. Meanwhile, Terran's going for that 1-1-1 build. He's starting up that starport. He's getting a second orbital, which he's really gonna need if Umbrae are coming his way. But they might not be. I think that Foundry was just a prereq. We've got an Atrium coming down for the Keiron. That Reaper has no idea. That's gonna unlock Myriads and Inducers. And as we've seen in our other KVTs, Myriads so good against Marines. Like insanely good. So Keiron's been able to defend with just a handful of Volts and as a result has been able to fly up that tech tree. Terran's gonna match that tech greed with some economic greed. He's taking a third while his Reaper sneaks inside. Oh, something's wrong. I think he's searching for the key. It's under the doormat, buddy. He's pulling back. I don't think he was blocked. Oh, now he will be. A second edifice goes down. That's a Protoss-style Reaper block. Volt speed is being researched for Keiron. Terran's making a tank. All of this in just the 4-minute mark. These are high-level players. The Atrium's gonna shape in. I wanna see what he's gonna do with that. But remember, it's gotta generate a charge first. A medevac on the way for Terran. No stim research for Terran. He's only got a reactor on that Rax. The tech lab's on the factory being used to crank out that second tank. Use ahead by 8 workers, but it looks like the mineral production's almost even when you factor in Terran's mules. That Reaper's been really conservative, but as a result, he's stayed alive. He hasn't generated a lot of intel though. I think he has no idea what Keiron's building. Let's be fair here though, Keiron hasn't scouted the Terran base at all either. With his tech tree, he hasn't built a conduit, so he can't just send over a flying fuse and check everything out. All the trade-offs of the decisions that are getting made. And Triumph is gonna make a move here. A medevac boosts off fully loaded with Marines. It looks like he's headed for that backdoor expansion, which he assumes correctly is actually being built. It is not, though, saturated with tasty harvesters. But if he shuts down his production, he slows down the Keiron economy. You does not see this. Medevac's gonna slip in undetected. He drops the Marines. He kills the building converter and snags the first blood. Hugh's forces are on the opposite side of his base. The rapid response team is not looking rapid. He'll have to cancel the Citadel. He does not get the cancel. Triumph triumphs. And now you looks to shut him out of his main. Oh, he's mad. He focuses down the medevac. He insists on making this a one-way trip. And look at how the Elytra from that Myriad just mow down those Marines. Triumph drops a scan because he's like, what did I just see? And what he saw included the new ward. I'm very excited. I hope we'll get to see that unit in action. You generate charges for the ward at the foundry, so I should have seen this coming. You looks like he might be countering. Triumph may have guessed this with what he saw in his scan. He's pulled back his Reaper and he's setting his defense at his third. Triple tanks. I like that for Triumph. Tanks are good against Myriads. Marines, not so much. Tanks are also pretty good against Volts. Stim being researched for Terran with +1 attack. Keiron will have the upgrade lead, about to finish +1 biological weapons. That includes the Volts. Volts are bio. Myriads are not. Oh, there's a depot wall. We got mech turtling here. Quadruple tanks. They're just hammering those Elytra. Yu wants to snack on those tasty Marines, but he is denied. He's brought double wards though. This is where it could get interesting, people. Wards have this cool shield casting ability. He's bringing a third one. Can he use the shield casting to break the Terran D? No, he's just gonna throw away his Elytra. The wards are moving forward. There's the shields. The Volts go under the shields. Oh, I'm loving this. But quadruple tank is too much. The shields are gone. Oh man, we're gonna need to see that in slow-mo later. As cool an idea as that was, that did not work. The good news for you is I think he's already teched up to the anti-tank weapon. In KVTs we've seen before, it's the inducer that really gets used to go at the tanks. They just slightly outrange that siege tank. Oh, but I'm wrong. He's building an Elysium. He's gonna do it with Crux. That's what we used to call the Meridian. Maybe I can tell the story of the name change in post. But the Crux conversion spell does double damage against mechanicals and would be a really good anti-tank weapon. He's a ways away from having that though, so Yu's gonna pack up and send his forces home looking defeated. It looks like the Terran Turtle has triumphed. Stim completes Terranad's combat shields. Keiron shaping in a conduit. He's gonna be adding in air units. Fuses or echoes on the way. Possibly. It might just be pretty Art Deco for his Citadel. Hold that very artsy thought. Triumph is pushing out. Tank Marine with his Reaper out in front to scout. He's really kept that thing alive. Boy, did I jinx that. The Elytra doing their bonus damage against light. Triumph trying to get position. He's not sieging his tanks. The Myriads are gonna get high ground on those Marines. Oh, it's a meat grinder. Triumph sieges up his tanks and the situation massively changes. He needs a scan to have high ground vision though. Ward shields go up, but we already know they can't handle quadruple tanks. Does Triumph have the scan energy to keep this up? It looks like he does. Yes, it's costing him mules, but he is dominating when he's got those scans up. And look who else has vision. Yu has an Oculus. And that's not all he has inducers after all. Those of you who haven't been in the scene like I have for a while, you'll see that the inducer has a totally revamped lower body. They look a little less like a 1970 Doctor Who robot. A little more Shea modern Starcraft. Now I know I've gone on about this in other videos, but really briefly, the tank has a range of 13, but that's artificial because its sight is actually only 10. So the inducer with a range of 11 is better until that scan goes down. So how long can Triumph keep up those scans? Yu's Oculus is giving him the vision he needs for free, but it can be destroyed. Oh, and if you're new, the Terran tanks are not lobbing fireballs at the Keiron. The inducer's attack is a boomerang. It goes out, it comes back in. That's the cool part of the inducer. The longer the range it needs, the slower its rate of attack. Both sides macroing like crazy as they're getting crushed in this meat grinder. Triumph's not giving up. He's rallying his units straight across the map. It's a parade push at this point. Keiron getting +2 bio attack and +1 bio armor. Terran going for +2/+2 for its bio. Is that an echo streaming into the combat? Oh, it drops in Discord mode. One of the things I love about you, the player I mean, is that he works really hard to try to find a role for that Echo in combat. Thus far, the Discord mode is really mostly for harass. And you know me, I love the Echo, so I love that he's trying. Oh, Inducer's really picking off the reinforcements, but the Marine count's getting pretty high. You can really see the interplay here. Now that the Myriads have been culled, the Marines are starting to thrive again. So now you has to stop making Inducers and make more Myriads, which means he has less Inducers to deal with the tanks. Okay, I think I'm getting the strategy with the Echo. That purple Discord field makes it hard for the Marines to run in, but the Marines wind up blowing it out of the sky anyway. I guess for that strat to work, you have to have the cloaking upgrade, Dissonance Projector. That's where the Echo's cloaked whenever it has the purple field up. But since Terran's scanning every 2 seconds anyway, I'm not sure it's worth it. Oh, Ward Shield's being added, but Terran's adding Liberators. Who's got this? The DPS of the Stim Marines make quick work of that Ward Shield. Terran is on the doorstep of the natural. They are breaking in. Keiron has to do a worker pull. It's Terran with the mineral lead. You desperately trying to extract that Liberator. He gets it. Terran would love to kill that Oculus once and for all. I'm sure he'd like to kill much more than that. And he just might. The tanks are getting siege position almost right over the Citadel. Notice how Yu uses the Energize at the Citadel. Even though his workers don't get the harvesting bonus because they're not there, he still gets the movement and shield regeneration bonus. And that he really needs. It's not just an econ thing, it's a combat thing. The Oculus is under direct attack. I think it's going down. Yes, it is splattered. And now peach-colored circles of doom are setting up just outside the Keiron base. Yu is double upgrading not just +3 bio, but also +1 mechanical attack. Likewise, Terran's getting +1 vehicle weapons. A bit of a standoff right now, but a very uncomfortable one for the Keiron. Yu is trying to shape in a crux. Convergence has not been researched though. Oh, he's gonna go. He's pushing in with everything. Can Terran contain? Liberator's down, but the Elytra are getting chewed up. Yu has a fuse on his ward to tank. The Crux are hitting the Liberators just outside their targeting circles. The Elytra are gone, but the Inducers remain. Terran is still reinforcing, but it looks like Keiron has enough. Triumph sees the writing on the wall. He is retreating. Yu has held. And now Keiron is replenishing his Elytra 5 at a time. Those Myriads truly are walking production facilities. And as a result, Keiron has a supply lead of about 40. Terran needs to do what Terran does best, defend. Yu senses his lead. He's gonna counter. Triumph trying to add a second armory. He knows he needs to upgrade his tanks and Liberators faster. I think the wards were a big deal in that battle, even though they didn't cast their spells. 250 hit points of shields plus 100 hit points of life. Compare that tanking power to an actual tank. A siege tank has 175 hit points. And they almost cost the same. But Triumph wants high ground tanks here. They'd be so good. He could be hammering the Keiron while they're stumbling around trying to find an opening. A good job by Triumph using his scans to find out exactly where the Keiron is. But he may want to conserve them. He's going to need them for the coming range battle. Okay, that Crux did not light his head on fire. That's a spell effect called Beholder. It's how he turns into a detector. Liberator's trying to get set up here. And they do, forcing a pullback for the Keiron. But Yu is setting up a second attack angle from the south. Oh, and he catches the Marines. The tanks are unsieged. The Myriads just live for that. The Elytra shred the bio. I feel like those tanks would be so much happier on the high ground. 2 more factories going down for Terran and another orbital. We know what Triumph is trying to do. But he's gonna have to lift off his 5th. He does have a high ground tank. He wants to siege that up. He does. And now he can try to punish those Myriads. Oh, he's got a Thor too, but he's just so far behind in supply right now. Keiron has his 4th up and running. Oh, and a pair of Pantheons going down for Keiron. The last thing Terran wants to see is the power of space doggies. And he's just shaped in 13 volts. In addition to representing a bad luck number, they also have latent charge now. Oh, there's that Zayat again, pretending to be a crab beetle. Yu doesn't like being caught in a scan, so he's gonna move his army. He's linked up with the Volts. That is a powerhouse. Looks like Triumph might be trying to build a fortress. I think he's trying to make a point he can rally behind. Or he wants an extra orbital for more scans. But either way, it's about to get mowed. There are not enough tanks to hold this position. The Thor is not gonna cut it. And the Elytra are gonna have something to say about those Marines. I do like the Thors for Triumph though. He needs something that can take a punch. But I think he's about to lose 2 more of his factories and then that's GG. Whoa, definitely a few things to talk about there, but first we gotta do this. So yeah, Triumph was no longer going to triumph once his all-in push at Use Natural stalled out. At that point, the game was probably over. But I do think he missed an opportunity to take advantage of the high ground for his defense at the end there. Keiron did not have any vision over the high ground. He could have got it, Echoes or a Fuse or another Oculus maybe, but that would have bought the Terran time to refill his supply, or some of it. Of course, he'd then be left to deal with the Keiron's Titans, but that's a whole other game. Now, before I forget, I did say I would tell the story of why the Meridian has a new name. Full disclaimer, not an insider, I did not interview anybody, this is just the chatter I hear. So let's get to the crux of the matter. For the longest time, it had been pointed out that while the Keiron Meridian and the Keiron Myriad both had cool names, they were too similar and were causing confusion. One of them had to go. Looks like the Meridian lost the coin toss. And I for one agree with that. While I always liked the name Meridian, I love the name Myriad. It fits like a glove for that unit. It's perfect. It describes just what it does. So, welcome Crux. There's got to be a bunch of fun name puns available. So how about that ward? As you saw, the ward has a simple ranged attack, but it's nothing to write home about. Think like the High Templar attack. All you can really say is, it's not defenseless. The value of the ward is in its tankiness to price. You get the most hit points and shields in a game for 3 supply. Which means, people, if your units are shooting the ward over other units, you're piloting your guys suboptimally. You're playing right into the Keiron's hands. We gotta learn not to do that. Now, the ward's signature ability is Shell Dome. If I called it a spell in the cast, that was technically wrong. It's an ability with no cost. It takes the ward's shield and puts it elsewhere in a big dome so you can shelter other units underneath it. How cool is that? The best part is it lasts as long as you want it to. But once you cancel it by hitting the escape key, there's a 7-second cooldown before you can put back up again somewhere else. I think we're going to see all kinds of cool uses for this over time as players discover its utility. Because the ward's not that expensive. It also has a healing spell called Restitution, which is going to be very important. Remember, the Keiron shields no longer regenerate after they get attacked. They have to be back in the range of a citadel to restart that regeneration. But the ward's Restitution spell is the exception. It re-kickstarts the shield regen. Hold it. I gotta stop myself from attempting a deep dive into the ward. That would be much cooler for another video. Let me just say a couple of points. 1, the Fuse stacks with a ward, the Fuse unit. And so you can make a super ward with a super Shell Dome. That's 375 hit points. 2, the Shell Dome ignores bonus damage by type. There's going to be interplay there. I know those Marines would have liked to have been under a Shell Dome when the Myriads were doing severe light bonus damage to them in this game. 3, the Shield Dome is treated as a structure. That means it's immune to Psionic Storm, and there's probably a bunch of other little details that we'll have to discover over time. Lastly, 4, EMP from a ghost does damage the Shell Dome, and a lot. But look, I hear what you're saying. Zug, I don't care about any of that. I don't have the APM of Magical Cookie. I'm not going to be able to click on the unit or tab to his spells, select the dome, and then target it and do all of that before my units get crushed. This is a unit for a high-level player, not a beginner. Well, to those people, I would say I actually think there's an exceptionally good role for the ward outside of combat. The Shield Dome lasts forever. That means you can set it up at your leisure and just leave it there. If you've got a choke you're trying to guard, set them up there, go do your macro, and if you get attacked, the ward's gonna buy you time to get back and get down to business. So yeah, the mid-combat stuff's gonna take a lot of practice, but it's actually the outside of combat role for the ward that really has me excited about this unit. Anyway, I did want to say thank you to all of you guys who left me those really cool welcome back notes. Clearly nobody believed me when I said I wasn't actually coming back. That's my fault, I know. But I just want to be above board and communicate that I am not going to be a regular uploader. Life does not permit, but I am thrilled to be hearing from you all again. So until I contradict myself again and upload yet another video, let me just say, from my base to yours, Zugzwang out.